Governor Kay Ivey awarded a big grant yesterday that could help schools and businesses in rural parts of northern Alabama stay connected. Our Jonah Karp has more.
Yesterday, Governor Kay Ivey awarded nearly $1.3 million of broadband installation in Colbert, Lawrence, and Lee counties, which for a lot of students is a much-needed resource.
We have, I would say, probably 6 to 7% of our student population that do not have access to any connectivity whatsoever. After that, we probably have another 10 to 15% that have limited connectivity, or it's even so expensive that a lot of our families can't even afford that.
With connectivity issues that commonplace, the pandemic only intensified problems for students.
I think COVID, along with a ton of other issues, helped bring that to the forefront and helped us really put some pen to paper and to really understand how beneficial it is for our students to be able to connect and to be able to have those additional resources.
To mitigate the internet issues, Colbert County Schools has found alternative solutions for students.
Hotspot boxes that we've tried to put out inside of our county. We've had partnerships where we've gotten with local areas, whether it be churches or even volunteer fire departments, community resource centers. If they had at least a decent, strong internet connection, students would be able to visit those locations in their cars.
JTM Broadband will install 62 miles of cable in Colbert and Lawrence counties, affecting more than 1,200 residents. Spectrum Southeast will provide high-speed internet to Lee County, affecting another 430 households. In total, 36 businesses should see a difference in their internet connection, but it's not yet known when the installation will be finished. Putting the Valley first, Jonah Karp, WZDX News.